The WWE has had a plethora of different logos over the years, from the original days of the old WWF to the Golden Generation, the New Generation, the first ever WWE logo, and now the most current version of the WWE logo, the WWE Network logo. The logo that has defined the company since 2014, since its mark into the streaming era of the company. During the infamous Monday Night Wars, WCW and the WWF were engaged in an era-defining battle that would shake the industry and be what many fans consider the peak. When the war started, the WWF was still going through its recently adapted New Generation era, featuring wrestlers such as Razor Ramon, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, alongside icons like Bret Hart as well. The logo was an evolution on the Golden Generation logo, but a bit spicier to represent the post-Hogan era of bigger wrestlers and the new identity of the WWF altogether. The New Generation logo was bright, featured neon colours, and was a real evolution from its predecessor. As the war proceeded, so did the attitude of the world around it. The cartoon-like atmosphere of the early 90s was replaced with anti-hero characters, movies and media that would follow suit. In the world of wrestling, no other company better represented this than ECW. Many fans before the NWO formation felt the industry was at a stale baseline in terms of creativity. The colours of the new generation were starting to sour, and the audience did not feel the world of wrestling was starting to align with the world around it. ECW captured the voice of the hardcore both in its presentation and in its product as a whole. The logo was extreme, had attitude, and represented the company perfectly. Many fans, including myself, believe the WWF's shift towards the Attitude Era was a direct correlation to the ongoing beast that was ECW. Many of the characters and storylines you saw during that time were very much influenced by Paul Heyman. As the competition started to heat up, the WWF was losing the war. The NWO storyline crushed everything the WWF was throwing at it, with Hulk Hogan turning heel for the first time in over a decade. The saga of the NWO was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that the WWF had a hard time stopping. Following the Montreal Screwjob in late 1997, the WWF had a major shift that would alter the industry entirely. The world was introduced to the Mr. McMahon character, and along with that, the attitude that would carry the company to new heights. The logo would undergo a major overhaul. While the New Generation logo would linger briefly, the WWF scratch logo was originally introduced in December of 1997, and while it was later cemented in the public consciousness by a massive Super Bowl campaign in 1999, the origins of the logo are incredibly fascinating. As discussed on the Bruce Pritchard podcast, Pritchard told Conrad Thompson that the inspiration for the logo was a doodle Vince McMahon saw him doing while in a Crave meeting.
You know how the scratch logo came to be, Conrad?
I'm interested.
Okay, we had that block, kind of the yellow, and it was a very clean logo. And I was in a meeting it was a company, not a company-wide meeting, but it was a department head meeting, and I remember scratching. I would always scribble on my pads and draw pictures and everything, and I'm scratching through the logo, and I'm just tracing it out. And Vince goes, "God damn, we need attitude. We need something like this." And he takes my paper, and Creative Services took it literally of the scratch, which all it was a scratch logo. And I'm not saying that I designed that. Creative Services came up with it. But it was from me basically destroying the logo on a scratch pad during a meeting with department heads, and Vince kind of going off about having attitude and you got to get out there. I don't want clean, neat. I don't want to paint within the lines.
The logo would last several years. However, in 1999 and 2000, the company began using the WWFE acronym, the World Wrestling Federation Entertainment, in some markets and corporate materials. This was the beginning of the end for the initials, as the World Wildlife Fund began ramping up its legal pressure regarding the WWF trademark. Although the WWF would win the Monday Night Wars, it would eventually lose to the Panda, and lose the legal battle as well. This resulted not only in a logo change, but also a name change. World Wrestling Federation would become World Wrestling Entertainment. The logo was slightly modified, dropping the F entirely, with the marketing being a very cheeky "get the F out." And although it was the end of the Attitude Era for some, including myself, The logo kept the same scratch style, just with a little bit more refinement. This defined the ruthless aggression era of television. The WWE scratch style logo would go through a 12-year life cycle with minor tweaks for the jump to high definition. Then, in February of 2014, the WWE went through its next stage, bringing the WWE Network to life. The logo got its biggest makeover to date, becoming a clean corporate mark that would officially brought the era of the scratch to an end. This logo has carried over to the modern day and represents this era of WWE television very well. It defines the company's journey from a mum and dad deli to a global entertainment titan. While WWE is defining its own era right now, it's important to remember the scratch that kickstarted its rise from the ashes against the war against WCW. A look that defined the peak of the industry.
When Bad Bunny walked out, he had his jacket pulled down, almost flipped inside out. I didn't think much of it, but then at one point, the jacket kind of came back over his shoulder, and you could see the old WWF logo on the racing jacket. That, of course, is the Wrestling Federation's old acronym before they lost a court case to the World Wildlife Fund, so now they became WWE. Now, SmackDown is live TV, so they couldn't do anything about it. The digital team had to digitally cover up their old logo for the first 25 seconds of the segment before Bad Bunny tosses that jacket into the crowd.